Welcome to the Rescue Mission of Trenton. We are here to take sort of an inside look at what the mission does. We're going to talk about the constituents that they serve. We're going to talk about the amazing length and breadth of the services that they offer the community. And then we're going to talk about the Wilton Scholarship. So hopefully people can get involved in supporting the mission.
I'm going to show you the actual shelter. You can show that. You can show that because there's not going to be anything in there now.
Thank you.
This has been renovated recently. And, well, this is for people that are basically a little bit more longer term. And it's not like we weren't really expecting a lot of company. But people can lock up their belongings here and it's more long term.
How long can long term be?
We don't really kick people out. A lot of times people have reasons that they're here. There's a lot of mental illness. There's a lot of, people they're in poor health. So our job is to try to keep them, and if they need help getting into drug and alcohol treatment programs, we're trying to help people, get to that point. So, but this has all been redone recently.
So who would be staying here?
This is like considered an emergency shelter. People will come the morning of and say, can we please, have a bed? And these are
Filled every night?
Yes. This is the women's shelter. The men's shelter is going to go all the way to the other side. It's much bigger. We need more beds in general. It's very kind of sad. This is like maybe a bad day in people's lives because they show up. They could be going through abuse. They could be going through a lot of tough things in their life. And they're hungry and they need a place to stay. So that's where we come in. They get a new pillow, new pillowcase.
Okay. So we're here with Elise, who's a staff member at the mission. And first off, I wanted to tell, obviously, how long you've been here and how'd you end up working at the mission?
I've been here for 5 years. My current role is the manager of care coordination. How did I come upon the mission? Indeed.
Indeed, okay.
Yes, I applied on Indeed. Nothing spectacular jumped out to me. But once I got here, I felt welcome.
You're the manager of care coordination. What does that mean to somebody who has no idea what you do on a day in and day out basis? Because you have an amazingly big job.
Yes.
So what is it that you do on a day-to-day?
Care coordination is just a nice name for case management.
Right.
As my supervisor would say, people aren't cases and they don't need to be managed. So we put coordinated care to their lives, and that's what gives us the care coordination title. So what we normally do is we help out with housing, doctor's appointments, treatment options, just help them situate difficult time in their life.
Yeah, and it is obviously anybody who's a client here, they're going through difficult times. What would you say to somebody who this is the first time they've ever heard about the rescue mission? What's one thing you'd want them to know about what you guys do here for the community?
So the main thing that Rescue Mission is known for is their treatment facility, but we're a whole host of other services wrapped into one. We got a pantry, we got a thrift store, we got a mobile unit, we got the care coordination team, we got the shelter. There's so many facets to the rescue mission that I just, they should know that it's more to it than just a treatment facility.
Yeah, thanks, man.
No worries.
That was awesome.
So they just redid this.
This is where New Direction
we have a
was.
veterans program, right?
Oop.
We used to have a graduation here. It's like a multi-purpose. They can use it for different things. These offices here are going to be like where people are. Oh, this is Duewa, who's she manages this whole area. You know Josh Wilton?
We met actually at one of the graduations here. Yeah,
scholarship for in honor of his brother, and he's not only a donor, but he's helping us with his social media and spreading the word in County. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
And Duewa, we just had a very big day. So
we just had our veterans event. We partner with the VFW, the local VFW, and our veterans offices, Mercer County Veterans Services Office. And we're doing veterans-focused groups and community resource day for veterans and doing giveaways and stuff like that.
That's nice.
So, so they were all just here. And so
it was packed.
It was jam-packed in here. So.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's awesome. Well, thank you.
Thank you, and good to see you.
You too. You will. Yeah.
Okay. So this is a common space that people can come in and use this for different resume writing. They can use the computer. They can use different different areas that can help benefit them long term. And if we go that way, right now there's a gym that's being built, and there's also a beautiful BH center, which we're not going to see because of HIPAA laws and privacy laws. But if somebody were to come in right off the street and say, hey, I want to get help, this would be where they would come
right there.
to the behavioral health unit.
Yep.
I'm going to show you the pantry real quick, and I'll show you the store. And we'll go upstairs. We will not go to the golf tours. Okay, so this is kind of a cool thing. People will come into this area, and they will trucks of furniture. Thank you. And really nice. Sometimes it's like really, really nice. They donate great things, and if we can't use all the clothes, we have this machine here, and it kind of smushes it, and then they actually sell the rags. It's like environmental. They sell it overseas. And this is kind of one of my favorite things here. I think it's so cool. You get it into the store. This could be just from a couple days. This could be 2 days worth of stuff. And we sell it at a very attractive price. And but a lot of people donate clothes, which we can use more of because it's a never-ending
cycle.
We always need it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to go into the store now. The store is actually, things are not hung up, and that's on purpose. People actually like to kind of go through they're like buckets, and they can get a lot of furniture here. There's new sinks, and you get kids from college coming, getting couches sometimes. You're getting families getting bedroom sets. It's a busy. We're not open currently, but it's currently Monday, Wednesday, Friday. It's very, very busy, and people come in and they find they weigh the clothes. Mm-hmm. So it's like every 3 pounds might be $1 or something like that. And we're constantly. I mean, it never ends. I mean, the need is so great. So we put these in the buckets. They used to be hung up, and we realized that was not as popular as this way. And
people like to rummage.
Yeah, they like to kind of go through it.
Yeah.
And lots of clothes, lots of shoes, boots. This is a kids area, so there's always a need for kids clothing. Boys and girls, you can see. Mm-hmm. And the store actually is. People come here often. Mm-hmm. You see a lot of the families. Hello.
How are you?
So this is a comfort center, and this was created because in the winter and the summer, when it's really, really hot or really, really cold, we sometimes don't have enough beds, and that's the sad reality, is that we have more people than we do beds for them to stay in. So they created this really nice room. Actually, they're making this into another room. I think that's going to be the new pantry. They're working on that now. But they do like buffet. They'll bring in, there's TV, have the game on. People can come and have dinner. This is a good place for times when it's too cold and you don't want to be outside in the elements. So it's a very nice. Right now it's not sort of ready, but it's a nice welcoming space for people that are looking to get out of the bad weather. Okay, so now I'm going to show you the pantry. Pantry is, if you're from Mercer County, you come in and you get lots of options. And we're about to redo this. Hello, we're doing a quick video.
Okay.
Maybe we could ask you a question or two. Lots of meat, chicken, poultry, bacon. It's constantly restocking it.
What days of the week are you guys open here in the pantry?
We're open Mondays, Wednesdays, and Friday from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m.
Okay. And then how many people do you guys serve on average through the pantry?
A day?
Yeah.
About like 50, maybe 60, depending
60 people
on the day.
a day. And if somebody needs help, what can they come in here and expect to get from you guys?
We have a lot of cans, perishables, items. We have a lot of frozen meat, vegetables, eggs,
Lemon
milk.
on, I've seen.
Yeah. We usually get a lot of donations, so we have, sometimes it's different, but usually a lot of really good food.
See the eggs, Carversville.
Yeah.
Carversville Farm donates. We get a lot of farm to table. So people come here and literally they're getting it right from Carversville Farm in Bucks County. And they do a great job and they donate
Yeah.
a lot.
A lot. Is it free for the clients, or do they?
Yes, it's free.
So they get it free.
This is for all Mercer County residents.
Mercer County residents, right? So if anybody's ever having a bad day, Rescue Mission's here.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem.
A lot of families. Thank
A
you.
lot of families, yeah.
Thank you so much.
Barrett, thank you for meeting with me today. A little bit of a different take than what we usually do on social media. And so I'm here at the Rescue Mission of Trenton. I'm here with Barrett. He's the CEO of the Rescue Mission. And we're here to talk about everything they do and why they're in existence. And we want to share some awareness on some things that you can participate in. So Barrett, why don't you, first off, tell everybody how you ended up as the CEO of the Rescue Mission, because I think that's a fascinating story.
Sure. So I became CEO of the Rescue Mission in January of 2021. I've worked at the Rescue Mission for 22 years, almost 23 now. Started way back when out of college and needed extra money. And so I took on a part-time job and I started in the shelter as an overnight supervisor in the shelter. And, as time progressed, worked through different positions up to, and now obviously including being the CEO. But the fascinating piece about, I guess, what got me connected to the Rescue Mission, the Rescue Mission is 111 years old. My mom was the previous executive director. She was the executive director for almost 40 years. I am 45 years old. And so I literally was born and raised here at the Rescue Mission.
You were literally born to do it.
I don't know if I was born to do it. There might be some arguments out there about that. But I was literally born and raised here. One of the first things that my mom did when she started working here was she opened up our residential drug and alcohol treatment unit where individuals live. In that unit was my crib when I was a baby. And I used to tell people all the time, like, oh, my mom loved me so much she brought me to work with her. She tells people that she brought me to work with her because I was so bad nobody else wanted to watch me. The latter is probably the truth.
We have that in common, man.
So when you look at it and you think about it, I literally have been here my entire life. Obviously, there are parts of it that I don't remember, but I've seen the Rescue Mission evolve over time, especially the last 20 plus years, right?
Right. So we kind of go block by block, talking about the constituents that you serve and the various parts of the mission that serve the community, right? So obviously you're known for drug and alcohol. So why don't we start there? Maybe start with the van, because we saw them pull in today.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, it was like you're seeing celebrities.
There you go. Yeah. So over time, I think the real beauty of the Rescue Mission and the services that we provide to and for our community is over time we've evolved and looked at and we've listened to what the community is in need of and what they're asking for. And so when you look at what we offer today, being July of 2026 is vastly different than what we offered July of 2020 or 2021 when I took over. But that's because we've evolved and grown our services. And so it starts with, we have a community outreach team that goes out on the street 6 days a week. They go out in the morning and they go out in the afternoon and they do street outreach for individuals who are unhoused, living on the street, suffering with mental health and addiction issues. And what they do is we try to engage them into treatment. We also are very known for our shelter. That's what we were founded on, right? We serve single adult men and women in our emergency shelter. We also have a day center for the homeless, which has a significant amount of wraparound services with care coordinators in there. We then have our substance use arm, which is a residential, as well as we have outpatient and intensive outpatient. And we also have a significant amount of housing that we offer, both permanent supportive housing and sober living. We have a community wellness center, which is like a drop-in center for individuals who are suffering with mental health, just to kind of have a place where they can go and be in community. We are soon going to be bringing online a primary care and mental health unit, as well as a workforce vocational educational service. All of these pieces that I discuss are all things over time that I have seen individuals who show up at our door in need of.
Right.
And one of the beauties of what I think the secret sauce for the Rescue Mission is, and has always been, is when you look at what we do it from a dignified manner, and people trust and believe in us. And so if you offer it here, people will utilize the services. I'd say to people all the time, the mission is kind of like, for addiction and homelessness and mental health, it's like Field of Dreams. If you build it here at the mission, people will utilize it. If you put it around the corner, they don't go and utilize it because they believe us, they trust us. And, I've been very fortunate to spearhead that growth over the last 5 years.
So when you look at, I mean, there's so many different parts to what you do. And in addition, there's the, I don't want to say, there's the kitchen, where people can come shop, they get food, they get clothing.
Yep.
There's more
Yes.
to it.
Yes.
Even than what you just listed.
Right. Yeah. Thank you. You have the food pantry. You have our thrift store. You have, we do on-site meal service. We serve over 1,000 meals a day. On average, the Rescue Mission as a whole and all those services, we will touch 400 plus people in a day, close to 500 sometimes. That's a lot of people who are dependent upon you for something. And I really believe that that's a wonderful gift that the organization is here to do that. But I really, as the person who in the community is the face of the Rescue Mission, it gives me a tremendous amount of pride to be involved in an organization that's able to do that much work.
You guys really go from dealing with the addiction to sobriety to housing to vocational. You want to talk about that and the graduations that I've witnessed?
Sure.
Of these folks that have gone through your programs and the One Direction program and everything else?
So in our behavioral health unit, we offer a program called New Direction. And what New Direction is it's a 9-week program where we have subject matter experts who come in and speak to our clients about really understanding the mentality and the mindset of buying into change and accepting change. But also a big piece of that is accepting what your past was and being able to accept it and move on from it. And a significant amount of the people who come in and meet with our clients during this program, they talk to them about their own lived experience being incarcerated, suffering with addiction, suffering with mental health, suffering with homelessness. And now they talk about the journey that they've taken in their both their personal life, but their professional life as well. And most of the folks who come in to us are people who've lived have lived experience and are now very successful in their professional career. And the other piece of it is what we talk to the guys about in this program is understanding what it means to love yourself and not continuously beat yourself up for a past discretion that you had or something like that. And then the other piece is what we really want them to try to do is to focus on and work on understanding what are you about? Who are you and what do you want to do? Right. And so for me, I would say a part of my life has been a passion of helping people. So I come to work every day and it doesn't feel like work, right? Like I'm sure you love your profession. And so it makes it easy to go to the office every day. When you do something that you love, it's very easy. to work, to come do a job. If you're doing something that you don't like, and it's just because you want to have a job, it's a whole different thing. So we really try to work with them on understanding who they are as a person, because they take a personality and a strengths assessment, and then they also take an assessment at the beginning and the end of their cohort of how optimistic are they about their future. And what I have found fascinating, we've done 13 cohorts, and what I have found fascinating is 87% of participants who complete have a higher optimism score than they did at the beginning, which tells you that we're moving the needle on them changing their perception and their way of thinking. And over 60% of the guys have gotten employment. So we're moving the needle, which is a wonderful thing.
And I've seen the graduations, and I think the most amazing thing is that, you know, looking at people who suffer from addiction is you do get them to accept that it's in the past and they forgive themselves, and they're all forward focused looking, you know, and I think that's a great gift. Why, you know, there's been a lot of changes. Obviously, we won't go into the politics of why, but you know, the things are at a crossroads, and things are always at a crossroads. And every year there's a crossroads in everybody's life. Mm-hmm. There's been a lot of cutbacks, right, for the mission.
Yep.
So if you were speaking to somebody who said, "Wow, I'd really like to donate," maybe explain some of the cutbacks you've had and some of the gaps, the funding gaps, you know, the mission's looking at.
You know, some of the things that have hit us hard are there's been some significant changes in funding from the federal level which braids into state monies, and it's really affected us tremendously. We've lost in the last 12, 13 months, $1.7 million in funding for fee-for-service services that we provided for years that was there, and it's no longer there. And that really affects us, obviously, on our bottom line, but it also affects in the way in which we're looking at doing our services, right? So a significant amount of that money was pulled out of two different buckets of work that we do. One was in our case management services, and case management services, when you look at our individuals, it's a huge bucket of work, helping an individual get their identification starting at zero, right? They don't have a social security, they don't have a birth certificate, they don't have photo ID, getting all of that worked out. Then you're helping them with housing, getting a job, going to school, medical appointment, all of those things is considered case management, is no longer able to be billed, but the service is still there. I still have individuals who I employ that are going to do that work, right? Because it is a part of the bucket of work that we provide. And then the other one it was a big bucket of work that paid for treatment for individuals who, the best way I would be able to describe it is a person who walked in and asked for help, mainly and usually it's a person coming in off of the street who is asking for help with their substance use and their mental health. And a lot of these individuals have been engaged by the people on our mobile van. So we're out doing all the work, and then when they show up at the door, unfortunately, there's no funding now to pay for their treatment. I believe, my board believes, that it is in the mission of the rescue mission to provide that service. And so we've continued to provide that service, even though we've not been able to bill for those clients. And so what we've done is we just the rescue mission self-funds them, which I believe is the right thing organizationally to do, but it's about $800,000 to $1 million a year in work that's being provided or services that is being given. What that's forced us to do is, we were just talking about New Direction. For this year, I've paused New Direction because New Direction was a self-funded program by the Rescue Mission, and you can only self-fund so many things. And so we've put a pause in that program with the hopes of bringing it back, hopefully fall or seeing kind of how the chips land.
Right. So before we talk about the scholarship, what would you say to families that have been hit by addiction? Mm-hmm. You know, brother, sister, mom, nephew,
aunt, uncle, yeah.
Aunt, uncle, And to quote my dad, it does take the best of us, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of shame in it's dehumanizing.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say to families who are looking for a solution or help about the mission? How could what's a step they could take? Because that's I found personally,
It's the hardest.
it's not like you go to college and go, you know what, I'm gonna have a minor in addiction for my brother,
Right.
and when he gets addicted, I'm gonna do this. There's no playbook,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So there's so many people that suffer from this.
Mm-hmm.
What's something that you would tell a family, like, do this?
Yeah. So to answer you, I actually took a minor in college. I had a minor in addiction studies in college, but they still don't give you the playbook for this. And so when I think about it and I look at it, right, I would challenge anyone who's out there or anyone sitting out there who says, oh, I don't know what addiction is. It's never touched my family, or mental health has never touched my family. They're
False.
They're lying, right? I don't know if I can curse, but they're lying, right? Is because every single family has it. My family has it. Your family has it. Anyone's family has it. It is what I always say to people is the number one thing you have to understand is it's a disease. This is a disease. Mental health and addiction are a disease. And they are treatable, very difficult to cure, but treatable. And do not be ashamed that your loved one or anyone in your family is suffering with it. The second part of it is don't blame nor shame that individual to think that they've chosen that path, right? I say this all the time when I speak about addiction and mental health is in the history of the first grade assignment of filling out, what do you want to be when you grow up? There's never been a person who's ever put on there, I want to be a drug addict. I want to be a criminal. No. I put on there, I wanted to be a horse farmer. I'm sure you put on there, I'm not sure, real estate agent or whatever. I don't know. But no one puts on there those things. And so this is a disease that someone gets, and there are resources there to help them, and there are resources there to help families. People have to understand that there is no shame in reaching out and asking for help, right? And one of the things you can always do is you can go online and call the Rescue Mission. My email is on there. My phone number is on there. Call if you have a question. Ask a question, right? We may not know or have the best resource for you, but we can point you in the right direction. But the worst thing you can possibly do as a loved one who has a member who's suffering is to just think, oh, it's going to just go away, or act as if it's not there. It's there. And sometimes the person needs the ability, when ready, you have to make that move immediately. And so if you have those chips or those cards in your back pocket, when your loved one says, hey, you know what, I think I'm ready to go to treatment, you then know, okay, well, here we've been waiting for this. And those are hard things. And then the last thing I would say is, I touched on this at the beginning of it, is understanding that it doesn't go away. Even though I know people who have been in sobriety 20, 30 years, they still identify as being an addict. They understand much more now than they did way back when. They're a disease, but they do understand that it's still there. And you can't say, oh, well, I haven't drank in 25 years, I'm going to start drinking again today. That normally does not end well for a person who is suffering with addiction.
Yeah. You want to talk about the scholarship?
Sure.
Awesome. So, you want to talk about how you guys came up with it, I guess?
Yeah.
So go ahead. I'll let you do it. I'll start crying.
Yeah. So when we met about a year and a half ago, we were talking about why you gave to the Rescue Mission, and it's a question I ask most donors who I've had the privilege to meet with and sit with and talk. And really, one of the reasons why I ask that is sometimes there is a story behind it, but sometimes it's just for my own guilty pleasure. I want to know, how the heck did somebody find out about the rescue mission? But when you started talking about it. Well, the reason why is because I lost my brother to addiction. And it obviously meant a lot to you. Your brother meant a lot to you. And that was 11 or 12 years ago now, right?
2015.
Yeah. So 11 years ago. And you can see it still affects you. And it's one of those things where, like we were just talking about, is addiction doesn't only affect the individual who's living in that terrible disease. It affects everybody. And when we started to talk about it, you said, well, what could we do to help? Or what could I do to help? I give what I can when I can, but I have a network of people whom I know who may have resources, but also I have this story to tell. And what we thought about was, we could name a scholarship in your brother's honor, which we have here, and what that really is the individuals who we were just talking about during this, is that the $800 to $1 million a year now lost money to the Rescue Mission. Any money that we raise under that scholarship now allows the Rescue Mission to offset that cost through that scholarship money, which is just a really an awesome thing to have in our back pocket. Because if not, as I said, it's the Rescue Mission is then reaching into our own pocket for resources. And so having that ability is a blessing, right? And being able to do it in the name of somebody who literally lived through what the exact same thing that the individuals who this is now helping to do. I didn't know your brother. Knowing you, meeting your father, meeting your mom, I think probably he would be very honored that this was being done in his legacy, saying, hey, these are people like me who need help. And what you never want to do is be able to say to somebody, the day that they want help is, no, I can't help you, because they may never ask again.
And that's true, right? Like there was windows with Phil, there was, okay, I'm ready. And then, like literally an hour later, I'm not ready,
I'm not ready. Yeah.
And then, he went to addiction, and like so many people, like you said, it's there, it's latent. So when you think you have it beat, it beats you. And unfortunately, that's what cost him his life. So I think from the perspective of, today and the mission, we want to obviously expose what the mission does. And it does so much, not just for addiction, but, for the entire community. Like the food pantry is a machine unto itself.
Yes,
like,
it is.
And the clothing that you guys move through here for folks is a mission, is a logistics, like you need an MBA in logistics just for those two things, but obviously the addiction piece it's unfortunately big piece.
It's the piece that you say there, right, is two things that when you're talking there hits like a point here that I want to make sure to say is, as I was saying, with addiction and mental health, it touches everybody. So almost every single person who walks onto our property, they may be coming to the clothing store. They may be coming to the food pantry. They may be coming to the wellness center. Wherever they're walking into the mission, I guarantee you that's not the only thing that's ailing them or thing that they need assistance nor help with today, tomorrow, the next day. And then the second part of that is the van is so good at pouncing, as you said. When the person says, I'm ready, our van literally will sit with them at wherever the location is and wait for the Uber Health to come and pick them up and transport them to treatment. We've sent over 200 people to treatment in almost 3 years because of that.
Yeah.
Right? Because to your point is, if you say, oh yeah, the Uber will be here in a half an hour, they ain't going to be there because the disease is all mental and it just takes over you, and your brain unfortunately talks you out of getting yourself help. And those pieces are so critical to the work itself, right? And then the tie all that together is just understanding that when people show up here, they're asking for help or they need help. And being able to do that from a dignified fashion and non-judgmental, and being able to accept who that person is so critical to all of it. The person, you were saying that with the food pantry, right? We serve almost 2,000 people a month in the food pantry, right? And when you think about that, it may have taken that person 2, 3, maybe 4 days, weeks to muster up enough confidence, courage to walk into the food pantry. So, do we want to shame them? Do we want to make them feel? No. How do we help you? How do we assist? And then you start to get to know them. They trust you, and they start to ask other questions, and then we start to provide or connect the dots to different services, either here or outside of the rescue mission, that can help that person get themselves back on their feet, stabilized.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, it's an amazing organization. So hopefully you check it out. We'll post the links to the rescue mission. We'll post the links to the Wilton Scholarship Fund as well. Okay, thank you.
Thank
As
you.
always, appreciate it. And stay tuned. More coming.